Hello and welcome to the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week number 116 with me, Craig Barton. Now, a while back, probably about a year ago now, I did a series of Resource of the Week where I focused on resources that comprised of a complete lesson, because I'm a bit obsessed, and I do this when I speak on my Mr. Barton Maths podcast and I interview teachers. I'm obsessed about how they plan and put lessons together, because I think it's just fascinating different ways teachers approach questioning and the start of the lesson, the end of the lesson, what activities they get students to do, how much independent work, how much group work's involved, and so on. So check out my series of resources of the week on lessons. But this resource has absolutely blown my mind, because this just isn't a lesson, this is a series of lessons. And once you start to see how teachers put series of lessons together, you really get a flavour of their thinking and their pedagogical aims and so on. And it's just fascinating stuff. And better than that, it's on Algebraic Graphs for GCSE Foundation. Now, the reason I say that that's better than that is because, for me, graphs is one of those topics that I often find students struggle with, and particularly the less able students. And foundation students is a classic. Like, if you go to your classic foundation students and say, do you like straight line graphs, you're very rarely going to get a positive answer there. So any resource that will help support the development of this is always going to get a massive tick from me, and especially an entire sequence of lessons. So let's have a look at this, and then I'll talk through a few ideas and thoughts that I've had. Now, the first thing to notice is it's 22 files, but luckily with Tez's one-click thing you get all those, and it looks like that when downloaded into a folder. So you can see it's an 8-lesson collection. And straight away the thing that's hooked me in here is it's a mixture of PowerPoints, but it's also got Word files, some of which will be worksheets during the lesson, other of which will be starters, and then beautiful stuff here, it's got homeworks in there as well, even with answers. So let's take a look at this, how it starts. So if I go to the first lesson, you get just a gentle introduction. So I like this, assessing baseline skills to check students can substitute, because without substitution they're going to struggle when it comes to plotting straight line graphs. And then I really like this as well, just a nice intro to straight line graphs, not going near coordinates at all, just simple function machines, plugging numbers in, seeing what number comes out. And if students of course can do this, then they can plot straight line graphs, and then it nicely brings them up to negative numbers here, you'll see, and then slightly more difficult divisions and so on. And then it goes into actual straight line graphs itself, and you get the grids come complete with this and so on. I'll just show you that here. Here you go, so you get some nice grids along with it, so they're ready drawn, so you don't have to worry about doing anything like that. And it just builds the students up one at a time. Now at this stage actually, I'll just share a little tip that I got. I think I got it off Will Emney about 5 years ago, and I was reading one of his blog posts, and it was a really simple thing, but it's had a huge effect on my teaching of straight line graphs. I always used to call this XY thing a table of values, but the suggestion I read in Will's blog was call it a table of coordinates, and it just helps, that simple change of word really helps students link together more what these are, that these are actual X and Y coordinates. So just try that, calling these a table of coordinates. Anyway, that's a little aside. So this is all beautifully animated, I should say, this PowerPoint, and it shows students how to plot straight line graphs, and as I say, you've got the grids together and so on. So that goes on there, and it's a really nice kind of introduction. And by the way, there's a couple of lessons here. You'll see this at the top here. This is lesson 1 and 2. So once they've fully competent when it comes to plotting straight line graphs, it then's going to move on to gradient. But I also like this, it doesn't shy away from the division ones as well, and that's going to be really important later on in their algebraic development, that they're not just used to times, and they're also used to dividing and so on. And we start to look at intersections and so on. But as I say, it's also going to move into gradient, and again you get beautifully animated PowerPoint, really simple, and you get all the worksheets to accompany that. So that's your kind of start of your journey. And as you see here, it's going to go right through drawing using formulas, finding the equation of the line, working backwards, and then we get on to things like drawing quadratic graphs. And I just wanted to draw your attention to this, because I think this is a wonderful lesson, this one. So again, we've got a starter, working backwards just to consolidate understanding of straight line graphs. We then get a lovely loop card activity just to mix things up a little bit. And then we get a really kind of comprehensive, well-structured way of drawing quadratic graphs. But this is the bit that really hooked me in here. So we get a bit of problem problem solving. But this, common errors, look at this. So classic mistakes that kids make, and it's beautiful just to kind of flag these up to the kids. The amount of times I've seen that, flat bottom, and that, I mean flipping heck, I see that more often than I see a decent graph drawn with some of my year 11s. So really nice to kind of stick those in the faces of the kids early on to say these are the common activities. And then you get a main activity and full worksheets are provided for that. And also you get homeworks. So your homeworks, if I just flick to it here, are provided. So this is one from again lesson 6, just to consolidate students' understanding of straight line graphs. And again, notice as we get to the bottom here, we've got all different styles of graphs. Quadratics come into play, but also straight lines where it's not y equals mx plus c form, just to really test the students' understanding. Then you can get answers to the homework as well, so you can quickly mark your table of values there to see where your students have gone wrong. So all in all, I just think this is wonderful. Now, as I've said over the years on TES, what you shouldn't really do with TES resources is just take them and use them as they are kind of fully presented, because this has been designed by Finn Butler to match his style of teaching, to match his students and so on. But the beauty of resources like this, especially when they're on PowerPoint and Word, is that they're fully editable. So what I'd be looking to do is to take various slides, or maybe take a complete lesson but take bits out, change the language to suit more my style, add bits in and so on. And if you just spend a little bit of time doing that, and believe me, you're still going to save yourself buckets of time from as opposed to creating these from scratch. You'll just have a lesson that you're more comfortable and familiar with and suit your style and your relationship with the kids more, and it's more likely to be a successful lesson. But again, what a wonderful kind of generous thing to do, not just to upload one resource, but an entire sequence of lessons. So I just think that's absolutely fantastic. So if you use that, please hop back onto the resource page and just leave a little review or just a word of thanks for Finn. And I shall return with a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care and bye for now.